So what are some of the common mistakes you learned through this process when people make when they're going through a difficult time?
Yeah, there's so many things. I think one of the things is that one of the worst things that happens during any kind of trauma or tragedy or difficulty is we come to wrong conclusions about the cause of it. It's God's fault. So bad things do happen in this world to good people. And it's not because God's in a bad mood or picking on people. It's because we live in an imperfect world. This is not the same world God made. And so to overcome those things, then we have to kind of recalibrate the way we view life. We view difficulties in our own life. And for me, it was just allowing God to surface some kind of bad attitudes or wrong philosophies or ideas about life, and to recalibrate in my internal life. And then the coolest thing, Randy, for me was when the way that I escaped kind of, because if a person steals a lot of money from you or breaks your heart or betrays your family, those are always difficult things to get past. But when I began to forgive people, God took away the pain. And so here's what God said to me. He said, Michael, if you forgive people that hurt you, I'll make you forget the pain they've caused you. So I forgave my way back to life.
Back to health, yeah.
So just by, and it's really the cornerstone of Christianity is forgiveness. God forgives us and empowers us through Christ to forgive people. And when we do, it's not just a religious act, it's a therapeutic agent. My soul gets better when there's not anger and bitterness or brokenness in there. All those things can leave when forgiveness comes. So forgiveness is the champion of Christianity, is the champion of a person. I just applaud people that are big enough to forgive, because whoever forgives wins.
I liked in your book you talked about this idea of the train. Like you said, at first the feelings were not there to forgive people. You kind of had to just get that train going, that locomotive, and then eventually the feelings, which are the boots in the back, kind of catch up with what the train's doing, and so the feelings eventually came. And the idea of rehearsing, really you're hurting yourself when you're not forgiving people, because you're just kind of rehearsing things that have been done wrong to you, and you're kind of building your own dungeon, if you will.
Yeah. Unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die, And so it is true for us as faith people that we're asked to forgive before we feel it, before we feel emotionally attached to an action of forgiveness. And so that's what the Lord promised me. He says, you just forgive them by faith, safe prayers of forgiveness. And I did that for a few weeks, and one day I felt forgiveness. And I felt love for them, and I felt relieved. I felt the remedy of heaven heal me from the deep pain, because I was in a manic depression for 2.5 years. So it was serious. So I had some serious things to process. And so, man, everything got better on the day I began to forgive people. I just want to encourage people that life isn't fair and people do bad things, but when we forgive people, God will make us forget the pain they've caused us.
And my last question, you've got this God of the comeback, and you've got a champion, pictured on the cover. So life isn't always, in other words, I had a pastor at West Point who used to say that, you've got mountains and valleys and whatever, but sometimes you do hit the mountain. You make your comeback. You succeed in the churches flourishing here in Phoenix, and you're a well sought after speaker and writer. So how do you best process when you are on that mountaintop?
Yeah.
What's the best way to handle that?
A great question, Randy. Part of the journey of restoration, it's one thing to not hurt anymore from a negative circumstance or a great loss. It's another thing to be back to where you would have been if that not happened. So part of the full work of God is not just repairing damage, but it's restoring loss.
Right.
Giving us back what we've lost. And so the Lord has, the Lord literally gave us buildings and did unusual things for us, which I'm just so humbled and grateful for. But when we get healthy on the outside, it allows our external world to change and mirror it. So when we change, things change. Businesses or ministries change, or families change. When we get healthy, other things have the potential of getting healthy. And when my heart got healthy, it just allowed God to continue the purpose that He had created me for. And so kind of getting back on track.
Right.
That's what healing does. That's what forgiveness does. That's what getting healthy does. That's what overcoming rejection does. That's what facing our fears does. when we get back on track and get to where the great purpose, the grand idea God created our lives for.
Your destiny.
Yeah.
Well, I've been encouraged by this. I'm almost finished, so I'm looking forward to see how it all ends. But of course, I go to the church here, so it's been an encouraging. We've heard some of the story, through your preaching, etc. So I want to recommend this book, God of the Comeback. I want to thank Pastor Maiden for sitting down with us.
Thank you.
Godspeed on your book, and
thank you very much.
Continued success in your ministry.
Okay, thank
God's
you.
ministry.